Okay, good evening. This is the February 20th meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The time is 6 o'clock. Our first order of business is to review the cases in pre-session, in the work session. So I will adjourn to our work session. We'll reconvene into our regular session at 6:30. I got one, but it had a whole slew of people covered. You good to go?
The Focus North Texas. It's because I'm playing.
I got that.
We're good?
We're good.
Okay. All right, guys, we'll start the work session with roll call of the commission members present. I'm Edmund Haas, the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Commission member Sue Blankenship.
Present.
Kent Hafeman.
Present.
Cindy Bishop.
Absent.
Here. She's online, virtual.
Oh, she is.
She's virtual. Okay. Ed Marr.
Present.
Freddie Guerra.
We're all here.
I see him online.
Freddie, can you hear us?
His microphone's on, off.
He's up there in the cloud. Okay.
Yeah, but his
we see him.
microphone's off.
So he's not until we hear him. We can't count him. We can't give him credits.
He only
Cindy,
gets
you
half
can hear us?
credit.
Cindy, can you hear us?
Microphone on.
Can you hear us, Cindy?
Freddie, you need to wave.
Freddie, wave if you can hear us. Nope.
He's
Nope.
getting frustrated. You see it. All
Yeah.
right, we'll catch him here in a second. And then in our newest member, Samit Patel.
I'm here.
All righty, welcome aboard.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Okay, so usually in the work session, the staff reviews all the cases. We answer any big questions back here in the back. That doesn't mean we can't ask them out there,
Sure.
but they give us any insights to some of the cases that are coming before us. All right, so with that, I'll turn the work session over to Ms. Mary Perone Boswell to
Present.
introduce staff. Yep. And discuss the items for tonight.
All right, Matt Steer, Development Services Administrator, Aaron Tainter, over there.
Oh, there's
Assistant Director
3 of them
Public
now.
Works.
No pizza. Just waiting for it to come around.
Louis Rahil, Assistant Director of Community Development, and Mr. Cole Baker, Graduate Engineer. Bob Hager, our City Attorney, should be joining us shortly. And we have Ms. Cammie McGee, who keeps us all in line.
Yay.
Hey.
Freddie just said he can't hear anything.
Cindy, can you hear us?
Cindy can hear us.
Yeah.
Freddie needs to probably go out and come back in.
You want to ask her if she could say something?
Yeah,
Can you,
yeah, Cindy,
Can you message him?
can you type something, type a message to Freddie and let him know that you can hear us, but he can't?
Maybe he needs to go out and come
Okay,
back in.
yes.
There we go.
Manny was talking to her.
Oh, okay. So, on tonight's agenda, we'll have a selection of officers. So that'll be one of the first things. The minutes, and the actual case numbers, items 7 and 8, which refer to Carrollton Farmers Branch, their ag barn. They have a plat and a PD that's gonna be coming forward. They had a little snag kind of at the last minute, so they've asked that that item be opened and continued to the March 20th meeting.
Both of them or just one of them?
Both,
So those are continued.
yeah.
Do we have to do, does Eddie have to do something for that?
We'll open the public hearing and then we'll just continue it.
Got it.
Are you gonna present the case or just
No,
straight continue?
yeah, they're gonna need to make some adjustments, so I don't wanna do anything.
Have you all had a chance to go onto that site to look at things?
Yeah,
Personally, no, just kind of. carrying
The
on.
gate's always closed.
The gate's always closed, yeah.
Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to just go on there, just to kind
We can set one up if you wanna go.
of, mainly it's for I like the smell.
Yeah.
Because I'm just thinking about
I
when the
prefer
north
not
wind
to go for
blows,
this
when
smell.
the south wind blows, it's going away. But when the north wind blows, it's gonna go right into the residential area. And if it's not bad, but I have no idea what it's like over there.
Ed,
You
I'll
know-
join you if you want.
That's fair.
My kid has animal at the ag barn and you really don't smell anything unless you're like right there. But could be different. We can definitely see if we can set something up.
Just maybe a little
Well,
due
I would
diligence.
definitely vote to nominate you to be our
Smell.
control person, to go out there and smell.
If I have Vicks, you know.
And then item number 9 is a public hearing for Greystone Construction. Again, this is, most of you have seen this previously. It's a little bit different. It's the one on Howell and Southwestern.
Right.
So the bigger change on this one is they're still looking to keep the little warehouse building that they have. They're gonna add some wainscoting to it to match the office building that they're proposing. Previously, they were looking to store a couple trailers on site behind that. They are no longer gonna do that. They have another location where they can put their trailers.
So that's the only thing that's really changed, wainscoting and no trailers.
Yes.
Everything else is basically the same.
Essentially, pretty much the same, yeah. The one thing I will tell you though is beside or behind the warehouse building, there is an alley right away, so it's not someone else's property. So I think that kind of got mixed up in the presentation last time.
Is it dedicated right away, or is it?
It shows up on, yeah, it's not constructed, but it's
Right,
definitely on the map.
But it's dedicated
Mhm.
by plat
It
or
is.
by
It's,
dedi-
yeah, if you look it up on our, yes,
okay. It's not prescriptive.
I don't believe so. It shows up on the,
Prescriptive because
But it's not
surveys.
improved, Mary, it's not improved.
it's not improved,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And there's no, we have no plans on improving it. So that's the Greystone one. And then the next one will be Matt's case for the Coppell Entertainment Plaza, and I'll let him kind of go over that.
Okay, so no questions for hers? Okay, so mine was on, it's located on 121, just west of the LA Fitness. It's proposed indoor pickleball facility. They've got 5 pickleball courts. And then out front, in the front portion of the building, they've got speculative restaurant and speculative retail space. They're meeting our requirements. We've worked with them in terms of landscape area. They only have 25% landscape area, but then they've got 8% enhanced pavement, which they're doing the entire drive along the front. So that meets the area requirements. Tree requirements they're meeting. They've just got to add a few more trees. Really, we've worked with them from them coming in with a very metal-looking building to encourage them to enhance the facade. So they added stucco and stone veneer, and it'll fit in with the character of the surrounding neighbors better than just a flat-out metal building.
So it's kind of like a chicken and pickle, but a smaller in scope?
Well, they're actually gonna lease out the restaurant space to someone, so it's speculative right now. So it's not interior, or it could be interior to the building, but it's really an outward-facing restaurant. And then the retail space would also be just a standard retail.
What's their plan for the 5 pickleball courts?
What do you mean?
Are they gonna rent those, or, do you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure of their operations, but yeah, it's probably a membership.
So that's a business entity unto itself.
Yes, so they will build those at first. Those are in spec.
What's the parking requirement for, because it's highway commercial,
Right.
for
So,
that use, where it's part restaurant, part.
okay. Well, so restaurant is 1 per 100, one parking space per 100 square feet, and then retail is 1 parking space per 200 square feet. And then the pickleball what they're showing is 6 spaces for each of the courts.
Okay.
And so that should accommodate, you know, the pickleball players as well as some overlap.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's probably
Is
overkill.
that in our ordinance somewhere?
It's not, no.
6 spaces per pickleball court?
Usually it's like, it was 1 space per 3.
That's for church.
For 3 seats, yeah.
Well,
in the
well,
main
that's like
auditorium.
in churches, but like activity centers.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was getting
Yeah,
at. I
like
didn't know
those.
how that would be calculated.
Like the badminton
Yeah,
courts.
yeah.
Plus, it all depends,
Somewhere in
like,
that same area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it all depends, you know, if you have spectator seating and
Yeah.
it all depends on the setup, right?
Yeah, there's no
Right, they-
seating in this, there, it's just all 5
Yeah,
pickleball
they,
courts.
they've just got some benches for them to, you know, sit in between
Sit in
their,
between games,
yeah,
yeah.
whenever
Right.
they're rotating through.
Okay.
So,
6 should be fine,
so yeah, and actually they're over parked too, so,
yeah.
So
Like 7.
this elevation is an improved elevation over what they had before?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, it was very sterile before, and now they've added some,
It's way cooler
It's-
now.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it still looks sterile to me, but,
yeah.
especially if
The,
it's a restaurant or a retail.
the drainage on the west side of the building, they'll need to coordinate with TxDOT for the pipe sizing and that sort of thing. Any other questions on this case? Okay, the next one was just a minor plat that was a companion request. On the plat, you'll be able to see all the easements, and so the reason for all the accent trees along the front is the fact that there's no room to place them outside of an easement, so they're having to use accent trees rather than the overstory, so they don't damage any of the utilities. The next item is item 12, which are the proposed ordinance amendments. These were brought forward last year, and you guys recommended approval. We put a pause on them. We wanted to add some more definitions and give them a little more clarity to the parking requirements. So I'll go through those out there, but basically what we listed was warehouse, distribution center, fulfillment center, and showroom. And the only one that requires more parking would be the showroom, and that's because you would have people coming to and viewing the items to purchase. So we left showroom at 1 per 1,000 square feet, and then changed the other 3 categories to 1 per 2,000 square feet. That's really the only changes, and we also included definitions of each of those types of uses in our special definitions section. Any questions on that one? Okay. And then I'll turn it back over to Eddie. Did you guys want to go through and kind of talk through the election of officers?
Oh,
So you
yes.
can get that figured out back here rather than do it on the podium?
Yeah.
And you will have to do it on the podium, but just formally, right?
This being our first meeting for the new year, we have to formalize leadership for the Planning and Zoning Commission. So, right now, the floor is open to who, let's start with chair, so we want to lead our commission.
Well, the obvious question, are you willing to do it?
I'll give it a go if you want me to give it a go.
I would
Here,
propose to
here,
nominate
yes.
you.
Second that.
I'll second.
Yeah.
All right,
I was gonna
then
nominate Ed for vice chair.
I, thank you for that nomination. I would like to nominate Sue. I'm thinking about, everyone's qualified here.
Yeah. everybody on board.
Everyone's qualified here. Sue has been, how many years with us now on the commission?
11 or 13. It's an odd number.
And you've been with it, you may have missed one meeting in all these years, maybe.
Might have been 2 or 3. I remember being in Hawaii once and in Phoenix once, so. Yeah.
And I just, I'm feeling that Sue brings some leadership to us that I think we could benefit from. Not to say that you can't. So,
Do you wanna do that?
I'd be more than happy to, but do you want to do it?
I mean, I would certainly do it, but if you would like to do it, I would support you as well.
I just wanted to mention too, I wanted to nominate Sue also, just because it's seniority, and just it seemed like she's the most logical choice next in line.
So let's maybe do a little more formal here. I'll nominate Sue Blankenship as vice chair. Is there a second?
I'll second
I
it.
second.
Second. And then we'll have a vote. All in favor, aye.
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 Any nays? Okay. It's not the formal thing, we need to do it out there, but,
That's right.
okay.
Well, thank you all
Congratulations.
for
in
the
the
vote of
queue.
confidence. As quirky as I am.
Okay. So that's quick. What else we got?
Just update on city council items. The last city council meeting, we took the interlocal agreement. They got approved at city council.
Yeah, we had a couple of
Smash.
ordinances as
What,
well.
what got approved? I didn't hear that.
An interlocal agreement
Oh.
between us and, an amendment to the interlocal agreement between us and Louisville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was amended?
So they have a new pickleball area
Mhm.
out front, and so it was just an extension of the sanitary sewer line to plug into that lot.
Got it.
Yeah, everything else is the same.
So they're
Yeah.
gonna compete with this pickleball court?
You never know.
Oh, there's so many players out there.
No.
Trust me. An indoor court would be unbelievable.
I went to the new one over down in Farmers Branch, that's pretty nice too.
Yeah.
Is it indoor or outdoor?
It's an indoor,
It's
and they
indoor.
got
How many?
bar, and food,
Yeah.
and
Is it a chicken and
restaurants.
pickle?
No, it's, golly,
It's a different one.
fault, default, I don't know, something, no fault,
Yeah.
something like that. But it was just nice, but anyway, so.
Mary, whatever
We're off.
happened to that controversial guy that came in who was trying to squeeze in his carport?
Review of the cases, let's go through that one here.
So that got denied by city council, 7-0.
Wow.
And, yeah, and so, he was given a time frame to take down the carport,
Wow.
yeah.
I watched it, delayed, watched it. He brought a different perspective, a different angle to it, more on, well, if I take the top off, it's legal, it's a legal fence. So it's just, we're talking about a cover, so he had he was
If you cantilevered it from the other side, you can.
different coaching. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't work.
yeah. I was confused by the motion. There was a quick motion to approve, and I didn't have the language in front of me, so I didn't know if it was a denial,
So the way it works is you put a motion in the affirmative, and then so let's say I vote to approve it, right? And then second, okay, motion to approve. Anyone in favor? If you're not in favor, you don't say aye. So it fails, the motion fails. So it's denied.
So there was a motion to approve it.
One of the things by doing that, if the vote's 4-3 in favor, it would have failed. Because you needed a supermajority. So when it's supermajority, I asked them to do an affirmative motion. So if it's 4-3, it fails. Because if they vote to deny it and it's 4-3, negative vote.
Okay. It felt odd. There was a motion,
Yeah,
and then
it
there was a
was
quick
odd.
second, and then all of a sudden, there were no hands up for the,
Yeah, we do that in the Board of Adjustment as well.
All
Okay.
opposed and everyone
Okay.
raised their hands.
Well, because it gets confusing
That's our
when you
city
say
attorney.
vote to deny it, do you approve it? It's like a double negative almost, it's.
Yeah.
Did all those
Yes,
people
we
show
do.
up, Ed, that they did last time?
there were 3 or 4 people that spoke, and I think there may have been a few others out in the seats, but
Yeah, a
didn't see.
few people, but, yeah. It did not go in his favor,
I fast forwarded right to that case.
yeah.
Only because of, you
Well,
know,
yeah.
the input and
It
all
was
that came as part of that.
controversial, for sure.
Yeah,
So,
so, I think that's all I have, so,
okay. Well, we got a few minutes before we hit regular session, so quick break.
okay, check my, 10 minutes.
What about, do we have anything big coming up in the next couple of months?
What's this thing tomorrow that I missed?
So,
It's
I
focused
think,
on Texas.
I think we just have an
It's
intake this week, right? I think we got one case that came
North
in.
Texas.
And it's a all-day seminar.
Okay, the time is 6:30, and the Planning and Zoning Commission is now reconvening into regular session. Our first item on the agenda is citizens' appearance. Is there anybody here that is signed up to speak on any item other than what's been posted on the agenda? Okay, seeing none. Cammie, has anybody signed up electronically? Oh, okay, moving on. Item 5 on the agenda is the election of officers. This is a requirement for each new year. We didn't have a meeting in January, so with this meeting, we'll go with the election of officers. We will nominate first for a chair. So is there a motion for a chair for the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I would like to nominate Edmund Hawes as chair.
Thank you. I'll accept that. We have a motion by Commissioner Blankenship. Is there a second?
Second.
I second.
We have a second by Commissioner Moore. Sorry there, Freddie, he got you there. Do we need to vote these separately, Cammie? Do them together? Okay, so then we'll have a motion for vice chair. With that, I'd like to motion for, or make a recommendation for Sue Blankenship for vice chair. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second by Commissioner Guerra. So Cammie, would you read the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Commissioner Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Maurer.
Aye.
Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay, very good. Thank you for the support there, and welcome, Sue. You'll be ready to go here. Okay, item 6 on the agenda is the approval of our December 19th meeting. The meeting minutes. Is there any discussion by the commission, or is there a motion by the commission on the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the minutes for December 19th as written.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second, Commissioner Blankenship. Cammie, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Vice Chair Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Maurer.
Aye.
Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay, very good. Item 7 on the agenda is a public hearing. This is PD-322-A, the Carrollton Branch ISD Ag Barn. A public hearing to consider approval of the Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD Ag Barn, a zoning change request from agricultural to plan development number 322 agricultural to allow the construction of a new 14,000 square foot education building and an approximate 21,800 square foot metal barn, butterfly station, and education stations on 41.63 acres of property located along the north side of Sandy Lake Road, abutting the Elm Fork Trinity River, to the east of the city limits, at the request of Ben Sanchez of Park Hill, representing Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, with regard to this agenda item as well as agenda item number 8, which is really the plat for this zoning change for PD, the applicant has made a request to continue this to the March 20th meeting, and by doing so has waived any time requirement for the plat. So if you would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on agenda item number 7 and to continue consideration of agenda number 8, and we can move those to March 20th.
Okay, then I'll move items 7 and 8 to the March 20th, or make a motion for the moving of these two items to the March 20th Planning and Zoning Commission for the continuance. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Blankenship. Sorry, Cindy. Cammie, would you call the roll there, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Vice Chair Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Maurer.
Aye.
Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay. Okay, item 9 on the agenda is a public hearing to consider approval of PD-317R-C, that being the Greystone Construction Building, Lot 2, North Lake Estates, a zoning change request from commercial to plan development number 317-commercial to allow a new detailed site plan for an 1,800 square foot office building on 0.23 acres of property located at 192 Southwestern Boulevard at the request of Danny Diddick of Greystone Construction and being represented by McAtee Engineering, LLC. We have a staff presentation by Ms. Mary Brown Boswell. Mary?
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. Item number 9 is a zoning change request. So this site was platted as part of the North Lake State subdivision back in 1961. The entire subdivision was commercially zoned, and a portion was rezoned to residential at some point in time. This is one of several original lots that face Southwestern Boulevard and remain commercially zoned. There's another 3 lots located on Howell Drive, directly north of these lots along Southwestern, which are also zoned commercial. On the east side of Howell Drive, facing Southwestern, Cavalry Construction built a professional office building and a garage over 2 lots. They were approved for a professional office with a driveway on Southwestern Boulevard, which is their primary entrance, and they were also approved for one on Howell Drive, which was not constructed, but was approved if they ever decided to add it in the future. As it relates to land use, the request for professional office use is the least intensive land use within a list of permissible commercial uses within the current commercial zoning. The amount of parking required and the total trip generation is low in comparison to what could be allowed. The building is proposed to contain offices and a conference room. So this will be the home office for staff. To the north, the homes to the north were constructed in the late 1960s and early 70s. The entire subdivision was commercially zoned until 2002, where some of the homes were rezoned to SF7 within a planned development, PD 198 SF7, with conditions. This gave the residences a conforming status to allow for legal site improvements and the associated insurance and financing requirements. This particular property, along with several others in the subdivision, were never rezoned and remain commercial to this day. There have been several special use permits approved for the remaining commercial zone properties, which have included a beauty salon, a construction office, landscape business, and a Trent safety consultant. These businesses were also granted parking, landscaping, and fencing exceptions. The property to the west had a planned development approved in 1999 for a commercial specialty contractor that did waterproofing and restoration of buildings. So now this particular illustration here is the site plan. It identifies the existing garage warehouse at the northern portion of the site that's proposed to remain, and the property backs up to a 15-foot alley right away. They plan to construct a new 18 square foot office building with offices and a small conference room. 6 new parking spaces are proposed for a total of 7. The site will be accessed from Howell Drive. An 8-foot wooden board-on-board fence with privacy fence with a cap is proposed to screen the site along the northern and western sides. They are requesting PD conditions that relate to the setbacks, reflecting the existing building location on site and the limited room for development. Staff is not opposed to the setback request. In terms of landscaping, they are providing a minimum 15-foot landscape strip along Howell Drive and along the southern portion of their site. Additional landscaping is being provided along the western perimeter and in front of the building. The site is approximately 36% landscaped, which typically we require 30%, and not including the right-of-way in front of this property along Southwestern Boulevard, which will also be landscaped. This portion adds an additional 2,033 square feet of landscaping that will be maintained by the applicant. They will need So in terms of landscaping, the overall amount is compliant. There are just some changes in the distribution of the landscaping on site. So this is a floor plan of the proposed building. The existing garage storage area is to remain. As I mentioned, it backs up to a 15-foot alley. And then the new office will contain 4 offices, a conference room, waiting area, break room, and restroom. So this is just an illustration of what is there currently. This is the garage or warehouse area. What they're planning on doing is adding a wainscot of brick veneer to match the building that they are proposing. So the building will have a brick veneer with standing seam metal roof and canopy across the northern facade. Large windows will frame the northern portion of the building with a good portion of the southern elevation. The eastern and western elevations will be brick. The main entrance will be from the northern elevation, access from the parking area. The address and sign for the business is proposed to be located on the southern elevation with 12-inch pin-mounted anodized aluminum letters. And there is a variance for the glazing because it's about 60% on the north elevation. So this is just a rendering of what they're proposing the building to look like. Again, this is a zoning change request, so we did send out letters, 13 within 200 feet, additional 44 courtesy notices within 800 feet. We did receive an email within 800 feet in opposition. There was additional email threads combined through that, but it was just them talking amongst each other is how I'll frame it. So staff is recommending approval of the request subject to the following conditions. 1, that there may be additional comments during the detail engineering review. 2, that the PD conditions, A, approve the reduced setbacks, B, to allow the landscaping areas proposed, C, to allow the glazing of the building as shown, and D, to allow the parking as shown. So that is the end of my presentation. The applicant is here as well to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, so Mary, we saw this case, what, a year ago?
It was July last year.
So what are the key differences in this application?
So in terms of, let's see here. Yeah, here we go. So the main differences with this proposal is that in the original proposal, they were looking to store 2 of their trailers behind the warehouse building. They've removed that. They've added additional landscaping, and they're only proposing 1 parking spot for a car. Their actual trailers, my understanding is that they will store them elsewhere. So they'll still be able to bring their trailers there, unload them into the warehouse building, but not store them on site. And I think last time there was some miscommunication about, in terms of the warehouse building is on the property line, but there is an alley behind it, so it's not technically on someone else's property. The other main difference is the adding the wainscoting to the warehouse building in order to kind of make it match or blend in with the building that they're proposing. Those are the significant differences.
Okay. Okay. And if that was a functioning alley as opposed to an alley on paper, there would be a setback requirement?
So there is a setback requirement, but again, that's one of the variances that they're asking for.
Okay.
With this lot in particular, with the setbacks that are required, it needs variances to build essentially anything on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions of staff by the commission? Ken?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mary, is this the same business that will be going in there? I think it was some sort of reclamation or construction or?
It is Greystone Construction, the same applicant.
Same group.
Yep.
Any other questions of staff? Sue?
Mary, during your presentation, you said that there was going to be some minor modifications to the landscape plan? Did I hear that wrong?
Yeah, if I said that, I was incorrect.
Okay, maybe I misheard. Okay, then I don't have a
They've
question.
made the adjustments that I asked them to do.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I don't have a question then.
Okay. Amit?
So the board-on-board fence on the north side of the property will have to go beyond the property line if this existing building is on the property line, is that correct?
It'll be on the property line. So the building is probably like right close. Yeah.
Good. Any questions by our virtual teammates? Freddie, Cindy?
Sorry.
No questions.
Okay, very good.
I have one question.
Okay, Ed?
Mary, what did you say the opposition was from the community?
So a lot of what we've heard from the residents is that they don't want a driveway off of Howell. So their concern is that the traffic going into, businesses off of Howell and potentially parking on Howell.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
So Mary, as I recall, there were some trailers or something like that that were being parked on the street, and that was causing some rancor amongst am I remembering that correctly?
So the trailers weren't being parked on the street. If in front of the existing garage, there's a pad site, and that's where they were being parked. And then we had, I think one time they were on the grass, and we made them remove it on their lot, but on an unpaved surface.
The folks that are against this proposal, what are they saying?
Well, there's a public hearing, so we'll
There's-
let them speak.
There's folks that are signed up to speak, but, the site plan, our standards, would it prohibit a parking lot with the access drive on the front side of the building?
So we did look at different renditions of this site and configuration, and it did not allow for, this allowed for the maximum in terms of the office size that they were looking for and access to it, and allow for the parking lot. So there is, if you look down to the left of this site, there is an existing driveway. They reached out, my understanding is that they reached out to that owner, and they weren't willing to share any kind of access. So you would be looking at a driveway, and then the street within 75 feet of each other. And the site just didn't really work out well with another entrance off of Southwestern.
Yeah.
Now, with the Cavalry on the east side, that's actually over 2 lots. It's a larger property, so they were able to have an access off of Southwestern.
We don't have any cross-access easement requirements or anything in place? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mary. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Yes.
Hi. Come on down.
Thank you for having me.
Are you?
I'm Danny Diddick,
Okay.
co-owner of Greystone Construction. First and foremost, I want to thank Matt Steer and Mary, our parent Boswell, for the dozen meetings that we've had in the last 12 months to try to construct this office building. We understood when we bought it, because we actually bought it from a subcontractor that we've used, Doug, with a flooring company, that there were going to be restrictions on this type of lot. We felt maybe the city would give us some variances, and you guys have been true to that. We appreciate that. The type of work that we do, to be short, is we handle disaster reconstruction. We handle fires, floods, water losses, hail, tornadoes. We handle that all over the state. We also handle it throughout. We do a lot of building consulting. We do a lot of general construction, reconstruction, commercial office buildings, and commercial roofing. My background is construction science A&M. My business partner's background is finance, Texas Tech. We just got approved to handle minority business owners type of work, actually this week, right, Ivan? Due to Ivan, we were approved for that. I'm half Slovak. They probably wouldn't. I'd probably ask for a kolache, and that would give me $1.50 give me a cup of coffee. But thanks to Ivan and his 6-month process, we are minority approved. We are open. I've had conversations with Mr. Pallone and Mr. Castellaneta, and we are open to making them happy and the easements and the egress and access. We've tried for a year to try to place a building, and it's only 1,800 square feet, on this property by Southwestern Boulevard, and Mary answered your question. It just doesn't seem feasible, but it's not a hard no. How access is the easiest. There are 3 employees in this company. We're not going to be there every day, and we volunteered to add to the plan that no commercial signage for no commercial vehicles will be parked along our property on Howe, and we can definitely keep that promise. I do understand, because Mary, do you have the plan view showing the entire street and Cavalry's building? Is that something you can switch back to? So I built 160 Southwestern Boulevard. I used to work for Cavalry Construction. I was a partner in the ownership of that building. 2015, and we sold it because we outgrew it in 2020, 2021, I believe. We had the same issues. You know, we understand that people don't like Howe egress, but it's my understanding we were granted it, but out of good faith, we didn't add that egress. We've made 160 Southwestern Boulevard a good-looking building. Joe Wilkins, our architect, actually designed it, and we've kept it up, and it's been, in my understanding and in my belief, a very nice building. We'll do the same with our property. It's smaller, but we'll keep it up, and it'll be a nice property. I understand the easement is a concern, and I'm open to any kind of suggestions from whoever's going to speak tonight. It's not something we want to go back and redesign the entire plan, but you know, if there's something, whether it be signage or access, or you know, we're not going to include our trailers there. If there's something that we can provide, we're open to it. We'll be happy to hear what the neighbors say. What concerns me is that there's 2 other commercial properties that do use Howell Drive for access and egress, and they might be bigger than us. There's 3 of us. I've met the individual north of the old Cavalry building, the landscape company. They've got several vehicles parked in the front and along the alley. I haven't met the hairdresser to the north, and I haven't met I think it's some type of safety or testing company to the north of the landscaping company. That said, my question is, if it was allowed at one time for a commercial property with egress access to Howell for 3 other properties, I don't really understand why it wouldn't be allowed for ours. That's all I had. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation there. Is it 832? The first building there on the east side behind the Cavalry, that's the business that you're referring to?
The three yellow dots. Yeah, the
Okay,
landscaping
they're
company
there.
is to the
Okay.
north of 160 Southwestern.
Gotcha. And if, in the complaint with regards to to trailers on the site, what was the basis for the complaint in the past?
Well, it's my understanding when we would have subcontractors gain access to the warehouse, they would unload and offload material. We have roofing material. And they would park in the driveway to allow access to the building, but at times they had to park in the grass. Actually, I picked up a vehicle there in the grass. It's such a tight area. We instructed our contractors to not pull into the grass because it just leaves huge ruts after a large rain. So if there was ever a time that I would receive an email from Mary saying, hey, you've got a pallet in the driveway, or hey, Danny, you've got a trailer parked along the driveway, any time that it was against any kind of city ordinance, within a few hours, I guess Mary could answer that, within a few hours we removed it. We have property that we lease in Haltom City, and that's where all of our trailers are now. When I say all of them, we have 2 dump trailers, we have 1 enclosed box trailer, and we have 1 flatbed trailer. Those vehicles will not be allowed at this site.
And there's really no, I mean, if you have any of your subcontractors or your teams that are accessing, getting some equipment out of your warehouse, it's going to be on that driveway right there in front of the garage. They're not going to be internal to the site, if you will.
That's correct, because we will have a parking lot now.
Okay. And with a truck and a trailer, will that encroach onto Howell?
No.
So I'm assuming they're going to back up, get some things, and move along?
That's right. And there will be a curb once, I think I heard this fall, that street, Howell Street is going to be completely redone. So we'll have a 6-inch curb. You won't be able to pull into the grass any longer. Not that I would instruct my guys to do that.
Yeah. I see from the street view, I see the water and the ruts and the, okay. Any questions of the applicant by the commission? Freddie, Cindy, any questions of the applicant? Okay.
No.
Ed?
Oh, yes. So is the, did you mention that is the access to the ancillary building going to change from what it is today?
The concrete pad in front of it will be replaced because it's in disrepair, but it will be the size that Mary had on the plans earlier.
But you'll still access it the same way?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
No way that can be changed into the interior of the lot.
You can move the door back to the parking lot.
Joe Wilkins is our architect. He mentioned relocating the door from the east elevation to the south elevation. It could be done for about 10 grand. I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
In fact, that's a gable roof. I don't know if it would be as tall, but we don't really need one as tall. I mean, it's something that I'd be open to modifying. But I think the real concern for our neighbors is access to Howell.
Yeah. Well, it's just that if you are able to put an access on the south side, they're interior to your lot, and maybe there's not spillover, and with the fence there, it might help
That's
hide
true.
some of that. So.
That's true.
Okay. Okay. We'll reserve the right to follow up with any other questions after the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have some folks that have signed up to speak on this item. Looks like about 5 folks, but that doesn't mean that anybody else couldn't come up and provide any input into this development application. So the rules are 3 minutes per speaker. Once you get down to 1 minute, Cammie will let you know that you got a minute left, so try to wrap things up so we can keep moving along. And then we'll just take it from there. So I'll just go down the list here. We'll start out with Rich Pallone, to be followed by Julio Castaneda.
I only get 3 minutes? he got a lot more than that. I don't think that's fair.
He's the applicant.
We've had a lot, I don't want to use up my minutes. We've had a lot of misinformation. First of all, that alley is an alley that is my access to get around the back to my home, plus all the homes on Howell Drive on that side, on that western side. So that alley, it's just not paved, but that's our alley. Last year, you turned this down on July 18th for the exact reason. We're not against him putting a building up. It's a great-looking building. We do not want access on Howell Drive. And as far as Cavalry goes, we were told that he didn't want that alley on that side. I fought him on that, and I asked him, why did you change your mind? He said, I don't want to deal with you. Well, I told Mr. Dickel here that, you know, you're going to fight with me on this. We do not, Howell Drive is a residential street. I fought hard to get it residential. And misinformation is unbelievable. First of all, you're saying there's other buildings. That hairdresser hasn't been in business in 5 years. The woman is dead. Her son lives there. Ranchwood Lawn Care, he's the only one, that's Craig. He's the only one that he upgraded his building, and he meets standards. What is that? Trenwell Jensen. There's a guy living in there. The guy's been out of business for almost 9 years. Rob is living in there. That building does not meet, couldn't get a certified, what is that called, the CO? He couldn't even get that in that building if he wanted to. That building is used as a house. So there's actually only one 832 that is a commercial building. Again, we do not want access on Howell. You guys turned this down for the exact reason last year. I don't even know why we're doing this again. This is ridiculous. That metal building doesn't even meet standards. Again, if you're going to rezone something, you can't include something that wasn't official. And you say, well, why is that metal building there? There was a house there that was arsoned. That metal building was a welding shack, and it remained. You got to remember, years ago, Coppell had no zoning ordinances or nothing. So when I had that rezoned, I had everything rezoned except those three as is. That meant if you had a carport, it was fine. They couldn't make you change any of that stuff. All we're trying to do is maintain the integrity. Now, you could give him a variance and allow him to turn his building or allow a special driveway where he can get in from Southwestern Boulevard. Again, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of fighting for what is right. And again, a few people give him this, you're wrong. How would you like it if somebody came into your neighborhoods and did this? Matt, you know me for years, okay? When Gary Sieb was around. And Gary remembers when we rezoned all that stuff, him and Marcy Diamond. I don't know if
Sir,
she's
your
still
time
around.
is up.
I'm done anyway, okay? There's nothing more I can say. I'm frustrated. And again, I've lived there 45 years, and my blood is in that neighborhood, and I am not going to let it go down. And I don't know what else I could tell you guys. You guys know the story. You remember this from last year.
Thank you. Julio Castañeda, followed by Christine Glidwell.
So to that point, when we did rezone it, we had every intention in mind that every residence would continue to have their carports that didn't meet the new codes and the new enforcement, so that nobody would be out of pocket to have to redo their stuff, but it wasn't so that we could turn it more commercial. And as Rich said, the hair salon and the other business, they've been closed for a long time. If you drove down that street, you would have no idea that there's anything going on. Even the landscape business doesn't have any signage. They just leave at 8 in the morning and they come back at 5 with 2 small vehicles and a pull behind with some lawn mowers. And even that's been damaging to the street, and Mike Garza will go out there and fix the street every year because of the commercial purposes. But nevertheless, the one thing that I see we keep harping about is it's a southwestern address, and we want to make it a how access. And we keep on going back to this, and there's about 25 feet from the street all the way to that property line where we could do something to get vehicles in that way. But since it doesn't allow the maximum use of a building and parking, and there's going to present other limitations with the use of a building, let's just do it this way and put the burden on the neighbors. That's what it seems like to me. We know when the property's sold that there's limitations to that property. I've got multiple properties in that area, and I can't just do whatever I want. That's the deal with buying this property, is that you're not going to just do whatever you want off of how. You have to use it in such a way that southwestern is your access. Obviously, it's going to present less usage of it. But that was the limitation when they bought it. Just like when they bought the one that Calvary Construction is on, the one that he was co-owner of. That's really the city's and the owner's burden. It shouldn't be the neighborhood's burden. And engineering needs to step up their game and figure out how they're going to make that work, not us. We have no problem with whatever the investor wants to do with his property. It's accessing it through how. That's really what it is. And who's to say, as he said, his own business has grown, it outgrew this, it outgrew that. Who's to say in a year they don't want to change it and use it in a different manner? Once the access is there, it's there. And that's our dilemma with this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Christine Glidwell, followed by Revi Mendy.
Good evening. Most of what I wanted to say has already been said, but I'll just reiterate. The next company to move in there, this gentleman said that his company grew really quickly and he moved on. The next company that moves in there, we don't know what they're going to have, what they're going to do. And we won't have a chance to fight it at that point. Right now is our last chance to keep our street residential. The 3 commercial properties that he's talking about, they're not all 3 commercial properties. The one company that is right behind Greystone, that they use the alley for access. There's not cars parked in the street out there. The gentleman that owns that company, he parks his pickup there when he walks over to pick up his daughter at Pinkerton. I know that because I've met him and I've talked to him. So they don't park cars out in front. So it's not already that situation in our neighborhood. That's not a fair assessment. Danny's mother, she has not cut hair for decades. She is a sweet old lady, but she has been incapacitated for a very long time, decades. So that's not been a valid commercial property for as long as I've even lived there, and I've been there 20 years. The gentleman behind that they're talking about, the second one in, I don't know him, but I don't see vehicles there. I don't see a business being run there. And since you're giving variances anyway, since you're going to have to give variances on this property, why not give variances that are going to keep the neighborhood residential rather than having trucks go in and out of there? If he moves on in 3 years, we're stuck with it. And then we're stuck with whoever comes in. We don't have any say over who buys it or who rents it. And that's the problem that we have. They've been, and as far as I can tell, they've been a great neighbor over at Greystone or over at Calvary. But they may not be there forever. And we don't want to deal with that later on. And I think that's all I had to say. But if you're going to give variances, why not ask them to move things around, have the parking come in the front? You've got 15 feet over here, you've got 10 feet over here. Why not use that for access to go around to parking in the back? There are a lot of buildings that have parking that way. The Brock building is right down the street, and that's how their parking is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hope I pronounced it right. Revi or Remy? Okay. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak for or against the proposed application? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Mary, I have a couple of questions for you. So number one, on those 3 properties that have or had commercial activities, if that changes ownership, does that commercial ability stay there with the next owner, or does that go away? I know that's not part of this case, but I want to make sure I understand those properties right behind it in that neighborhood.
So it's zoning, so it stays with the land.
Okay.
So when you look at this map here, it's pinkish. So those are commercial properties. They are not supposed to be residential.
Okay. And then the second question I have is, so who owns the alley? I heard a member from the public say it's their alley. Who owns that alley?
It's city property.
It's city property?
It is city property. Alleys are city properties.
Okay, I just want to make sure I heard that right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and I think you shared this with me earlier in the work session, the reason this is coming before us again is because in the previous application, when it was denied, they did not appeal it to the council, and that the time that it passed the deadline, so it had to come back before us. Is that what it was?
Right. So they did make some changes to the site and are coming back before you with those changes.
Okay, because of the changes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So I hear a sidebar going on over here. Is there some?
I want to find out if that's what's on the plat for this. If it's city right away, actually the adjacent property owner owns the underlying fees subject to the public's right of use, so.
Okay. Okay. Any follow-up questions for the applicant based on some of the testimony from the public?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
You have some questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay. Would the applicant please come back?
Sir, thank you for presenting this evening. I really appreciate it. So thinking outside the box here a little bit, and so bear with me because I'm sure you've looked at this every which way, upside down and inside out. So help me out here, okay? If I'm looking at this building and I see this unattractive little metal building right on your property line, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And the access across the street coming in off of Southwestern Boulevard, what is it that prevents you from tearing down that thing and moving your office building up towards, closer to that property line where I don't even know what the setback would be off of that, but why can't you access Southwestern Boulevard?
A few things. The building, when we purchased it, is grandfathered in. It may not meet code, but it is grandfathered in. It is, I think we call it a multiplex. So it's got a warehouse, 2 offices, a restroom, and a kitchen.
Yeah, we went through all that last time. So I'm not concerned about that issue, your metal building. I'm just saying from a planning perspective and to meet your neighbor's objectives about getting access off Southwestern Boulevard. If it were my site, I'd demo that and even expand the size of the office building.
When we purchased the property, I think it was February of 2023. I think we spent somewhere around $225,000 for that property and that building. Then we rehabbed that building and we invested another $50,000 in rehabbing that building. It's money we've already spent, incurred. We need that building for storage, for warehouse space. I wish it was something as simple just for me to say, yes, we're fine with mowing it down and relocating everything, but right now we're trying to use the building where it is, as it is, with the setbacks we have, and with the help of Matt and Mary, we've tried to reconfigure this thing so the best possible scenario.
But
I'm still open to.
My question: why can't you access off Southwestern?
That's really a question for Mary, myself, and Joe, our architect.
Your architect
can we have,
has
sure,
got his
can we,
hand up here.
Can we have an open conversation? We've discussed it but it didn't seem feasible at the time. If you all are open to another couple of minutes, I'm open to discussing it again.
I don't want to legislate here from the diocese, but I want to have your
Can I
questions
speak
answered.
on his particular question? We studied the driveway coming off of Southwestern, and where the intersection is off of Howell, to put a 26-foot wide driveway in, it locates it too close to the intersection, and it's also too close to the adjacent driveway to the west. So there was no way to really get that in there. Plus, there's an ordinance that I understand that you can't have any parking in the front or off the street, visible off the street.
So I'm confused by that because the building next door to the west,
Mhm.
they're parking, they're coming in off Southwest.
They are, and that's
And
preventing
they're
us
coming
from
in
having a
adjacent to
driveway.
the fence, is that right?
Our property is only 75 feet wide.
Mhm.
And so to put a driveway in that by code has to be 26 feet wide for coming and going of traffic off the parking lot, it makes that driveway too close to the Howell intersection and too close to the adjacent driveway on the west.
I believe the building to the west has parking behind the building.
Yeah, they're not parking on.
I believe.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah, they have it.
But we did that
I think their
study.
driveway is right up against the fence, if I remember correctly,
It is.
correct?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
to the east of the building
So I was
itself.
slightly puzzled by that, because, I mean, if you put your driveway right up against the fence, that would seem to me to be the logical place to put it, and maybe the variance you're looking for is the size or width of the road, rather than all this other stuff, I don't know. But I'm just reaching here and kind of brainstorming here, because I'm sympathetic to the neighbors and their desire to keep their homes residential.
Sure.
And so I'm asking you if you could consider that.
This property is very restrictive.
I beg your pardon, sir?
The property that we're dealing with is very restrictive. There's a lot, because it's zoned commercial, we have a number of requirements that isn't applied to necessarily the residential. And, you know, this is the biggest building that we could possibly put on that site. 1,800
If the
square
metal
feet.
building is there, correct?
Yes, but we understood that alley has been abandoned. It's all grass.
We'll get some clarification on that.
And I think
Is
that
there
the
a,
street
plat on that alleyway, or?
the street
Kent-
improvements.
Kent-
Give you legal advice.
Yeah, Kent,
Yep.
Kent, well, I'll get to that.
The street improvements that are going to be made next fall don't even acknowledge that alley.
Well, thank you, sir, for your input. Thank you.
Okay, but before we go any further, I would like to ask the city attorney that we recess into executive session. I have some specific questions for our city attorney. I don't know if there's any special language we need to read.
No, it would be under 551071, and the agenda allows you to request an executive session for the purpose of seeking legal advice.
Okay.
And so if you'll announce the time.
All right.
I'd also like representative of the city engineer to join us.
Okay, very good. So the time is 7:18. We're going to recess into executive session, and we'll be back with you shortly. Okay, the time is 8:02, and the Planning and Zoning Commission is reconvening back into regular session. We met with the city attorney to obtain some legal advice with regards to the proposed application. If the applicant could come forward to the podium, please. So earlier, we were asking you some questions regarding potential changes to the site. And one of the items was would you be open to moving the door from the east side to the south side? So we have a couple of other requests and wanted to know if you might entertain the following. Move the door from the east to the south side. You have one driveway for the site to align with your parking lot, and then convert the existing drive to a lot access parking space. In other words, you have that one space on one side, create another one on the other side. And if you would agree to these, then the commission would make a motion. If you feel like you need some time, we could continue the case. You would work with staff. We'd come back at the next commission meeting on March 20th.
I'm a little confused about the second part. Number one, first part is an easy yes. We could relocate the overhead roll-up door from the east elevation to the south elevation.
So the idea, we're just saying reduce the driveways, just use that one, because you have the opening is going to be internal to your lot. So you just use that driveway, and then the existing drive, we just reconfigure a portion of that so it's a lot access, a parking space to the lot. And then when the street is rebuilt, then there's some green, and then you have a curved edge, and all that occurs.
So
Can I ask the architect?
I'll
Go
show
ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Thank you.
So if you look on the screen, so get rid of this access.
Won't need that.
Right? Right. So this piece, which is currently all paved, you drive in through here, and then you park this way. So it'd be like this spot, but over here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, as long as the city's fine with that, because you're losing landscape.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
It's good.
How much landscaping are we losing here?
100 square feet, 200 square feet?
There'll be additional landscaping, over here, and part of their request is for landscaping as provided, and they're providing 36%, which is over what we require. So it's just allocated a little bit differently.
Gotcha. So if you're open to that, we would entertain a motion. But if you need some time, then you'd go back, work with staff, iron out all the details, and we continue the case to March 20th.
We're open for both. We agree to both options.
So
Motion.
you want to go down tonight?
Please.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that we consider approval of
Chairman?
PD-317R-C, sorry.
Just a point of order, isn't the public hearing still open?
No, the public hearing was closed.
Okay,
It's been closed.
okay, just make it.
Yeah.
Thanks, sorry, I apologize.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to approve PD-317R-C Greystone Construction Building, the case as presented with the conditions as initially identified, the conditions that you all were providing to the case, the no parking, all that, but with the additional conditions to move the opening of the shed storage building from the east side to the south side, have one driveway accessing the interior of the site, and then reconfiguring your existing driveway to create a single lot access parking space. So that is the motion for this application. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Haas. We have a second by Commissioner Guerra. Cammie, would you call the roll?
Please respond by saying aye or nice. I call your name. Vice Chair Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
And Commissioner Bishop dropped off. So all approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you, everyone that's come out to this case. The item, when would this go before the council, Mary?
March 11th.
March 11th. So we would encourage you to continue your voice to the city council hearing on that item. Okay, with that, I'll move on to item 10. This is a public hearing to consider PD-323-HC Coppell Entertainment Plaza. That being Lot 1, Block A, a zoning change request from Highway Commercial to Plan Development Number 323 Highway Commercial to allow for a detailed site plan for a building containing 5 pickleball courts, that being 13,000 square feet, with a speculative restaurant, that being 2,485 square feet, and a retail space of 2,170 square feet, totaling 17,655 square feet on 1.6 acres of property located on the north side of State Highway 121, approximately 940 feet west of Denton Tap Road, and being developed by Coppell PKB Limited and being represented by Lindsay Meyer of the Dynamic Engineering Consultants. And we have a staff presentation by Mr. Matt Steer. Matt?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. This property has never been platted. The zoning was changed from light industrial to highway commercial in 2004. And we did have a site plan and a plat approved for this site, but it was done greater than 2 years ago and has since expired. So as mentioned in the item description, it is a 1.6 acre site. The site plan shows a 1-story building containing 5 pickleball courts, or 13,000 square feet, with speculative restaurant, 2,485 square feet, and retail space, which is also speculative, at 2,170 square feet. That totals 17,655 square feet. So the site has 4 shared mutual access fire lane connections to the east and west properties. There are 66 parking spaces required and 73 parking spaces proposed. As calculated, this plan shows 6 parking spaces for each pickleball court, 25 parking spaces for the speculative 2,485 square foot restaurant, and 11 parking spaces for the speculative 2,170 square foot retail space. A 6-foot masonry wall is proposed to be constructed along the north property line adjacent to the Coppell Greens residential subdivision. A screening wall will be required to be constructed prior to the buildings going vertical, or the building going vertical. And there's a detention area on the west of the proposed building with a tie-in to the TxDOT drainage system. So TxDOT's approval is listed as a condition within staff's recommendation. According to the tree survey, there's 6 protected trees that are proposed to be removed on site, and those total 76 inches. 1 protected tree is to remain, that's 14 inches. And the tree mitigation required for this site is $4,600, plus there's $2,800 in off-site improvements and tree mitigation, bringing the total to $7,400. There are 40 3-inch caliper trees required and 25 4-caliper inch overstory trees proposed to be planted, and these consist of 12 big tooth maples, 5 lacy oaks, 3 bald cypress, and 5 cedar elms. In addition, there are 2.5-inch caliper inch Chinese pistache proposed. And these will need to be increased in size to 3 caliper inches. Also, when I was coloring the landscape plan, I noticed that 5 of those trees are not shown. So they'll need to include 5 additional Chinese pistache. This is listed as a condition within staff's recommendation. Also, there's 21 accent trees at a ratio of 3:1, which account for 7 overstory trees, plus 1 existing tree, bringing the total to 40 total trees. They're meeting the landscape area required by providing 25% landscape area, and then they've got 8% of that or 8% additionally in enhanced paving. So they're exceeding the 30%. Originally, they had proposed just a flat metal building. They've since gone and introduced stucco and stone veneer, gray metal canopies, and then the gray standing seam roof. As you can see on the front side, there's storefronts, and then this would be the entrance to the pickleball on the southeast side. On the back side, there's no windows, so that will probably make the Coppell Greens neighbors happy, in my opinion. In accordance with state law, we sent out 18 notices within 200 feet and 120 courtesy notices within 800 feet. We received no responses in favor or written opposition to the case. We did have an email from the Vice President of the Coppell Greens HOA stating that that their only concerns would have been the lighting, but the photometric plan was shared with him, and so it appears that there's no lighting issues, so they have no concerns. Staff's recommending approval of PD 323HC Coppell Entertainment Plaza, subject to the following conditions. 1, that TxDOT be required to approve the tie-in to their stormwater system. 2, there will be additional comments at the time of detailed engineering review and building permit. 3, a plat will be required to be filed of record prior to permitting. 4, all attached building signage shall comply with the sign section of the zoning ordinance. 5, the 7 Chinese pistache proposed will need to be verified. The number will need to be verified and increased in size to a minimum 3 caliper inches to meet the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. 6, rectify the discrepancies between what's shown in the rendering and the elevations. And 7, the 6 feet screening wall will be required to be constructed prior to the buildings going vertical. That concludes my presentation. The applicant's in the audience, and I believe they might have a color board to present.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. Any questions of staff by the commission? Okay. Freddie, any questions from the virtual world? None? Okay. All righty. Is the applicant here to present the case?
Hi, my name's Lindsay Mayer. I'm the civil consultant. And first, I want to thank Matt and Mary and the engineering team. It's been a pleasure working with these people. I think we've got a good product, but I'm going to let the developer talk more about, he's here now, to talk about the facade and some of his building operation, or his operations.
Okay.
So, thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jason Chen, and I'm the developer, also the property owner. So,
Mr. Chen, you're at 3120 Golden Springs Drive?
Yes, yes.
Where is that, Dallas?
Oh, no, it's Plano.
In Plano?
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
for the record.
Yeah, just for the record. Yeah. But I do work in Coppell for a few years, so I know this is a perfect neighborhood for the indoor pickleball business. So my current club, we call the indoor pickleball now, in Fort Worth near to Keller. So we have been operating for 1 year now. So have a good feedback, customers, building a great community over there, and the business is doing good. So we are considering to building more location. So right now we are building 3 locations: Louisville, Coppell, and 1 in Dallas. So Coppell one is this one, and I really believe that we are fit really well with the neighborhood, and also provided sports to the community. And I know I personally also playing in the Wagon Wheel Tennis Center. They only have the outdoor, they don't have indoor. So so Plano and other cities, they starting have indoor. So I'm trying to bring this energy to Coppell as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I did have a question regarding, so the restaurant is speculative, so you're starting out with the pickleball and the retail, and then maybe you come back later with the restaurant, or what's the timing on all the pieces of this?
Oh yeah, so the reason it's called the restaurant, but we want a coffee shop tenant over there.
Gotcha.
So the coffee and pickleball blended really well, and we have one example in Plano. People, they just play in the morning, have a cup of coffee and some light breakfast, so really enjoying the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Hang on, are there any questions of the applicant by the commission? Sue?
This is more of a curious question. So is this a private, public? Do you have to have a membership?
Oh, yeah, yes. So it's a pay-as-you-go, and also membership is hybrid. So no visitors, they can also come. They pay one-time fee. Also, we have a discount rate for membership. So it's open to everyone. Everyone can play. Of course, there are some age limitation, right? And everyone need to sign a waiver. We are cashless, so everything, booking, reservation is through the website and also the app. We have the app. So basically, everyone need to sign up with the email and sign a waiver, enter the credit card information, and make a reservation. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do have, sorry, I do have one question regarding the front of the building and the stone. So I know on some of the renderings, it shows the stone maybe, 3-4 feet from the bottom of the building, but, on the rendering, it shows it's going all the way up to the roof line. But just a question, how is the stone going to be applied? Is it just going to be on the bottom border of the building, or is it going to go to the very top?
I might need my architect to answer this question. Can I?
Sure.
Yeah.
Would that be Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
If I could get your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. My name is Jessica Martinez. I live off of 3713 Lewis Street in Fort Worth.
Okay. So, Freddie, you want to repeat your question?
Yeah, the question I had, when you look at the rendering, it shows, part of the building where the stone goes all the way up to the roof line. But yet, on some of your elevations, it just shows that it's more of a border from the bottom of the building. I just wanted some clarification. Is it going to be, the whole thing going to be, stone in the front, or is it just that border on the bottom?
So can you hear me?
Yeah, you can pull
Yes.
the mic down.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So in the rendering, we will make that edit for the elevations on the east and the west. We are showing that the stone is going to reach the bottom of the roof siding.
So
Okay.
the elevation is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And that was listed as a condition.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
You good there, Freddie? Anything else?
Yes. No, thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant by the commission? Okay, thank you very much. We do have Mr. Phil LaBerge has signed up to speak. And if there's anybody else, we'll entertain that after Mr. LaBerge.
Great. My name is Phil LaBerge, 858 Down Alley Lane, Coppell, Texas. I'm the Vice President of the Coppell Greens Homeowners Association and very proud of it. After looking at the plans, we really don't have any concerns about the pickleball courts being inside a building. Not concerned about any noise somehow penetrating the building and escaping into Coppell Greens. The main concern was really the light in the parking in the rear. I looked at the photometric study, and it shows 0 along the edge of the parking. Plus, we have another 15 or 20 feet in the green belt behind there, so I'm really not concerned about the lighting at all. There is one thing that I asked the owner to consider doing, is putting in a gate similar to the gates that we had Srini, the development to our west, put in the brick panel wall so that we have access to the easement behind it. And through that, if we need it, we could they've agreed to put locks on that gate. Without a gate, that sort of prevents us or anybody that wants to access that area from getting to it. So we'd really like to see that happen. If it's possible. We didn't have any issues with the Srini development when they were put in there, so I can't imagine that it would be an issue here. The other suggestion to the owner that I would make as far as the Chinese pistache trees that they planning on putting on their lot. I made the mistake of putting the one, I'm not sure the species, but it has berries on it, and it's a mess. So they should probably consider getting the species that doesn't have that, because it's a wonderful tree, but it makes a mess. But otherwise, great facility. It's going to provide a sound block for those 3 or 4 homes that are at the end of Turnberry. So it's actually, I think, a benefit to the homeowners, and we're excited to have it there.
Follow-up question for you, sir.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused. A gate access to the easement that's highlighted in green, is that what you're talking about?
By the dumpsters.
Oh, to enclose it.
No, not for the dumpster. A gate in the brick panel wall that's going to go across the back of the property line so that we could get through the brick panel wall if we needed access, or if somebody needed to gain access from the other side of the wall.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay.
Matt?
Okay, so I was aware of the Srini access point, so we allowed them, they have gates, so that they can get back there to maintain their common area. All this area back here is common area.
Yes.
So I think he's asking for the gate to be somewhere behind the dumpster pad back in here. And it looks like the engineer's giving a thumbs up that they'll go ahead and install one.
Okay.
Oh, and then
the Chinese pistachio. Are there different? Is that a female species versus
I'm
a male?
unaware. It's on our plant palette, so we do allow for it.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, just from experience, it's a nuisance.
I have a beautiful pecan tree that can be quite nuisance also.
Yep.
Well, okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Question.
Oh, sure. Sorry, Mr. LaBerge?
Yes.
Sorry.
One quick question for you. How do you access the common area today?
We access it through the houses that are to the left, upper left portion. There's a green belt there.
Okay.
So if I wanted to somehow get to the other side of where they're planning to put the brick panel wall in, I'd have to drive all the way around and go through their parking lot to get to that dumpster area.
Okay.
So it'd be really useful to have a gate there with a lock on it.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there, just a second.
Yeah.
Thank you. No,
Okay.
got it. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak on the proposed item? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, but if the owner could come down.
Yes, I do want to make a comment regarding the gates. We are happy to provide access to the neighbor, but meanwhile, I want to call out, I want to further review with all the attorney and all the architects to make sure. I'm just worried about the liability issue if we provide this door, because that part have a slope. Someone fall off that, if that's our liability, or they need to sign a waiver to using that door. So I'm just considering that part, but I'm happy to provide access to the adding a door is not a big to me, not a big deal to me. I'm just worried about the liability issue, but that's all. I need to reach out to some of my legal team and do more analysis.
So do you want to take this under consideration, as in for us to continue the case?
No.
Or we condition it that you would, as part of the gate access, that you're going to be visiting with your legal team to make sure that there's no negative impact issues with that access?
The case doesn't, the present right now, it doesn't have any gate. So, but we can work outside of this plan development meeting, work on that. That's not a requirement for this PD approved, right?
Right, so we would condition, how would we condition that?
You could place it as a condition of your recommendation, or you could allow them to work it out offline. but that doesn't guarantee that there's going to be a gate if you allow them to work it off without putting it as a PD condition.
Okay. And we've allowed the gate access for others. I understand your legal concern.
Yeah.
And so I want to give the applicant that benefit, but we have allowed it with no issues on other properties?
Right. I think that we would allow for it, they would just have to work out the details.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Are there any other questions of the applicant? Okay. Any final discussion, or is there a motion?
So one discussion point. So to your point, conditioning this as part of the PD, I have a little bit of concern with that because if there is a legal concern.
Then we have that.
Yeah.
What I would recommend is the homeowners association sign some kind of access agreement to access, and at that point, if there's legal concern by the property owner, they would address that with the HOA. So all we're doing is providing for it to go there, and then they can work out the details about how that access is executed.
Okay.
Okay. You want to make the motion? Okay.
All right. I move to approve a PD 323 Highway Commercial Coppell Entertainment Plaza, a zoning change request from Highway Commercial to Plan Development 323 Highway Commercial to allow for a detailed site plan for a building containing 5 pickleball courts, a speculative restaurant, and a retail space, subject to staff conditions, with the additional condition of enabling an access point on the rear of the site to access the common area behind the site.
And that the HOA sign an access waiver?
To the HOA, and that the HOA and the applicant will work out the access details.
Subject to the applicant and the HOA working out details about accessing the opening.
Yes.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Moore. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Commissioner Hafman. Cammie, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nice. I call your name. Vice Chair Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carried.
Okay, item 11 this evening is consider approval of the Coppell Entertainment Plaza Lot 1 Block A minor plat. A minor plat to create a building site for an indoor pickleball / retail / restaurant facility and associated easements on 1.62 acres of property located on the north side of State Highway 121, approximately 940 feet west of North Denton Tap Road. We have a staff presentation by Mr. Matt Steer. Matt?
Thank you. This is the companion request to the plan development to allow for the construction of the indoor pickleball restaurant facility. The plat addresses the easements and fire lanes required to serve the building. Right now, there's an existing drainage easement on the western boundary, utility easement running along the front of the property, and then there's also a Texas Utilities electric easement running along the frontage here. We're requesting that they plat a fire lane and access easement for their drives, as well as a sidewalk easement along the frontage on State Highway 121. And we're recommending approval subject to the following conditions. 1, that TxDOT be required to approve the tie-in to their stormwater system. 2, there will be additional comments at the time of detailed engineering review and building permit. 3, the tree mitigation fees paid at the time of tree removal permit. And 4, the 6-foot screening wall will be required to be constructed prior to the buildings going vertical. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you there, Matt. Any questions of staff by the commission? Is there any discussion on the item? Okay. Is there a motion by the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve Coppell Entertainment Plaza Lot 1 Block A minor plat subject to staff conditions.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Marr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Blankenship. Cammie, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or ayes. I call your name. Vice Chair Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
And Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much, and best of luck on the pickleball facility.
Thank you.
All right, item 12 this evening is a public hearing to consider ordinance text change amendments. These are text change amendments to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, Article 42, Special Definitions, to add definitions for showroom, warehouse, distribution center, fulfillment center, and retail center, and to amend Article 25, Light Industrial District of said chapter, to add new definitions to permitted uses, and to amend Article 31 of said chapter to allow conversion of dock areas to additional parking, to allow warehouse, distribution centers, and fulfillment centers as defined herein to require not less than one parking space per 2,000 square feet, showroom as defined herein to require not less than one parking space per 1,000 square feet, and to allow the Director of Community Development to approve up to a 10% reduction in the required parking spaces for retail centers with buildings greater than 10,000 square feet. We have a staff presentation by Mr. Matt Steer. Matt?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, purpose of these amendments to the zoning ordinance are to incorporate items discussed during the Industrial 2.0 and retail roundtables that the city performed in fiscal year 23. These will allow for more flexibility in parking requirements for industrial and retail users. The additional changes include definitions for more specific uses not currently listed. These changes are city initiated. We briefed City Council on these concepts in September of last year, and were given consent to bring these forward. A portion of these proposed code of this proposed code amendment was brought before the Planning and Zoning Commission in October 2024. After the recommendation for approval by the Commission, staff paused on proceeding to City Council in order to combine all the parking-related amendments and to add definitions for specific land uses. So if recommended for approval, they'll go to City Council for a public hearing and adoption in March 11th. First of which is the off-street loading and dock area parking. It's to allow for the conversion of the dock areas to vehicular parking with an existing industrial site here. So you can see in the back of the building, they convert that to vehicular parks, and then if they screen it from the public right-of-way, we would allow for that conversion to take place. The second is a minor text amendment, also the result of Industrial 2.0 roundtable. During that roundtable, it was the consensus that with the increased use of technology within the industrial developments, the number of employees per square feet has decreased. It was recommended that staff research decreasing our minimum parking requirements. While staff is recommending that showrooms continue to have one parking space per 1,000 square feet, the warehouse, distribution center, and fulfillment center uses are proposed to require one parking space per 2,000 square feet, or one per employee on the maximum working shift. This is consistent with the recommendation given by the Planning and Zoning Commission in October 2024. And what staff has observed is the larger the warehouse, the emptier the parking areas. So this is a amendment to what was previously presented, the addition of distribution, fulfillment center, and warehouse. These definitions, the definition of distribution center, this was put together by two attorneys, so it is pretty complete here. Stores, distribution center says stores goods purchased by the operator for resale that does engage in storing goods for hire and where goods are not sold to retail customers. Definition of fulfillment center is an established location operated to receive orders from retail customers placed primarily over the internet through the use of websites for purchase of goods held in inventory at that location that are shipped or delivered from the center directly to the place designated by the purchaser. A fulfillment center does not store goods for hire. It keeps or retains goods for sale to retail customers in the regular course of business. It is not a warehouse or a distribution center. Then the definition of warehouse says, an established location engaged in storing goods for hire for multiple parties that does not sell goods in the regular course of business and that does not store goods that the operator has purchased for resale. We've added definition of showroom is a room or area in excess of 1,000 square feet where durable goods are displayed for retail sales to customers. And then we've added the retail store, shops, and retail center definition, which says established locations that display and sell goods in person to customers, but excluding the display and sale in the open, outside a building, of new or used automobiles, heavy machinery, building materials, used appliances, furniture, or salvage materials. The next text amendment was a result of the retail roundtable that we discussed the future trends in retail. During the roundtable, the parking requirements for retail centers was brought up. Parking requirements of the zoning ordinance are based on extreme cases during peak times, and often there's a large amount of parking that's never utilized except for during the holidays. The proposed parking amendment would authorize the Director of Community Development to approve a reduction in the number of required parking spaces not to exceed 10% reduction. Any reduction greater than 5% shall require a parking study and alternate parking plan obtained by the owner or developer of the property that's prepared by a licensed transportation engineer. Greater flexibility in administering the parking requirements allows for more potential businesses to fill the retail centers. The reason for the 10,000 square foot threshold is related to the number of tenants. Anything under 10,000 would have fewer tenants and less parking wiggle room. So again, the purpose of these amendments to the zoning ordinance are to incorporate the concepts discussed during the Industrial 2.0 and retail roundtables that the city performed in fiscal year 23, and these allow for more flexibility in parking requirements for the industrial and retail users, and the modification to the city requirements related to never mind, that wasn't part of this one. Staff's recommending approval of the text amendments following a public hearing. If recommended for approval, these will be brought forward to City Council at their March 11th meeting, and we'll have another public hearing. We'll also publish newspaper notice at least 15 days in advance of the council meeting. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I've got Bob here to help as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. And I know we've been talking about this for a while now. On the administrative reduction of 10%, so I like that. It allows flexibility for changes in retail. What if a retail center goes to more intense retail? I don't know, incubator restaurants or something that generates more traffic. Can staff administratively pull the 10% back, or is that because there's a change within the retail center itself, it has to come through the process?
Well, so yeah, we would make it come through the process if, say, they were asking for an additional change. But you're saying after the fact, after we make the change.
We make the change and then something else happens and now we see more demand and maybe we need to rescind the 10%, but
Yeah.
what does that process look like?
Yeah, we haven't discussed rescinding the 10%. We haven't discussed that process, but yeah, if there was a user that didn't make sense, yeah, I'm not sure.
We would, I think the council and staff would try to monitor that, and if we see that product coming forward, we would probably rethink and ask for some different considerations where there was and identify that more intense use. And that's kind of what we did with the definitions that you have before you tonight. Back a long time ago, the distinction between warehouse, distribution center, fulfillment center, fulfillment centers really didn't exist, and so it was kind of blurred Now we've got people that have inventory, people that have goods for sale, people that, so, you know, we try to keep up with the modern trends, and so both the parking and these definition changes are
Yeah.
trying to keep up with that. And we anticipate probably in not too distant future, we'll have maybe new zoning ordinance, and we get to revisit all these again.
I do see a continued reduction in some of the demand of these type sites, only because just more remote, more mechanics. That's right. Yeah. So, but I guess if things were to go the other way for whatever reason, there's still that chance for us to look at it again.
Or if uses change, we may have distinguished between what I call a traditional fulfillment center and some hybrid that someone will come up with. So.
Okay.
And if you're asking about the retail centers, and that's the reduction that's we're asking for the community development director to be able to administratively approve something up to 5%, right? Or up to 10% if, say, this study's provided and everything. So I think if there was a change in use that was greater than the 5%, then we would have the parking study updated and resubmitted to us to prove that they would have the available parking.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
And there's more changes in land uses coming. We're down in Central Texas. There's like HEBs that have the grocery store with a combined warehouse in the back. Best Buy's got something similar going on down there. There's just all kinds of different things trying to maximize distribution and at the same time trying to figure out what that sweet spot is for the brick and mortar, you know, versus online. Right. Right. Okay. Rein it in a little bit. Yeah. Any questions of staff by the commission?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ed.
In terms of showroom, what was the genesis of the 1,000 square feet?
So that's what we currently park it at, and so I recommended no change, just due to we've got customers coming in, you know, and so I wouldn't want to have not enough parking.
Yeah.
Because that's a more intense type of use than the industrial type uses.
And to your point, all retail stores have showroom essence, right? It's for display of goods.
Right.
But it's really for a use in connection with a fulfillment center, a distribution center, a warehouse where they also have showroom. And we have a few of those in town.
Got it. Okay. That makes more sense. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anybody who'd like to speak for or against the proposed application? I see people in the audience, just checking. Okay. With that, I'll close the public hearing. Any final discussion, or is there a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move to approve the text change amendments to the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, 42, special definitions as written and shown below.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Moore. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Blankenship. Cammie, would you call the roll, please?
Please respond by saying aye or nay as I call your name. Vice Chair Blankenship.
Aye.
Commissioner Guerra.
Aye.
Commissioner Patel.
Aye.
Chairman Haas.
Aye.
Commissioner Mauer.
Aye.
Commissioner Haveman.
Aye.
All approved, none opposed, motion carries.
Okay, item 13 on the agenda is update on city council items. We reviewed those in pre-sessions on some of the previous cases that went before the city council. Prior to adjourning here on item 14, another welcome to our newest member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Sumit Patel, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Glad to
It's
have
good
you.
to be here.
And your expertise will serve us well with a landscape architecture background. Some of us are going to the Focus North Texas tomorrow. Who's going? I know I'll be there. We've got some staffers. Fantastic. I'll look for you all there tomorrow. Bob, did you have anything?
Yeah, I wanted to thank Commission for their thoughtful contemplations and questions during your executive session. I appreciate your willingness to entertain maybe some possible solutions. That's a good result.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All righty, with that, it is adjournment time. It's 8:46, and this meeting is adjourned.